In this video, I'm going to talk about imaginal acts, visualizations, and I'm going to use an analogy from one of the most anticipated movies of this year, Avengers Doomsday. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, Avengers, the whole franchise has been some of the most highest grossing films of all time. I mean, even some people who don't even know who the hell Captain America is, they end up watching it for some reason in the theaters. And you probably will be dragged by one of your friends to watch it if you are already not anticipating it right now, right? So, imaginal acts. One thing you got to understand is there's a lot of myths about visualizations that people hold themselves back from and end up not manifesting their goals. And one of the biggest ones is that your scenes have to be long, 5 to 10 seconds max. Honestly, 2 to 5 is my sweet spot because, I can get distracted real easily, and I personally like to just get right to the point. So this whole idea that you have to make a whole no pun intended, Avengers Infinity War, a freaking Godfather Part 3, it's a bunch of bullshit. So stop that. The shorter, the better. And then another myth is that it has to be extremely vivid. 2 reasons why it doesn't have to be extremely vivid. One, because you only have to really focus on the main thing you are trying to achieve through that specific imaginal act. And then another thing, too, is that the implication behind the visual act is what really matters, okay? Because when we've manifested an argument with our boss on our way to work because we were late for the 5th day in a row, and we're like, I just know that bastard is going to kick my ass when I get there. You didn't hear their audio in 1080p, but he kicked your ass even harder than you expected, right? But sometimes when we detach and we're like, I'm going to be okay. Guess what? He ends up, for some reason, he's in a good mood, right? You don't have to worry about if it's an IMAX or 3D Blu-ray. So that's another myth you got to get out of the way. But what I wanted to focus on with this whole analogy is, okay, at the time of me filming this video, it is April 23rd, okay? And there has been a description leaked on the internet of the Avengers Doomsday trailer because it was shown at CinemaCon, okay? Now, without giving you, I might say spoilers in here, so in case you guys are anticipating the movie and you don't want any spoilers, click off now, but it's really a trailer, so there's not really spoilers, but if you don't want the trailer spoiled, click off now, okay? So, in the trailer, everybody knew there was going to be Dr. Doom. Everybody knew Thor was coming back and Captain America was coming back, right? But they wanted to know, how is this movie going to be approached? Because the one who's playing Dr. Doom is RDJ, but he already played Iron Man. And so they're like, what the fuck? Out of all people, why didn't they get Cillian Murphy, right? So everybody wanted to know, is this going to be another flop like Ironheart, or is this going to be a banger? And after seeing the trailer, everybody is like, this is a banger, right? But you see, they didn't spoil anything about who's going to die. They didn't show Dr. Doom's origins or how Captain America is now a part of the Avengers team, even though he turned into a guy with Alzheimer's in Avengers Endgame, right? All they did was they showed little brief snippets, right? They showed Gambit fighting Shang-Chi. And by the way, anybody who doesn't know all this stuff, you can fast forward to the next 20 seconds. I'm getting somewhere. But the point is, right, is all they had to do was allow us to hear a little bit of the voice of Dr. Doom. All they had to do was allow us to see Thor saying that I've fought greater enemies than, lesser enemies than this, that almost made us die, and we hardly survived this one. Or something like that. Basically saying that, if we struggled with men lesser than Dr. Doom, imagine how much we're going to get our ass kicked with this guy, right? And everybody wants to know, is Dr. Doom going to be really, as hardcore as he is in the comics as he is in the movie. And after people saw this trailer, the wide answer is yes, he is. But we only know this based off of what Thor was saying in his little speech that lasted 10 seconds. We only knew this by Thor throwing the hammer on Doctor Doom, and he stops it with 2 fingers, right? But we don't know if maybe after that Thor gets the hammer again and he does a cheap shot and then boom, he chops Doctor Doom's head off, right? But you see, just from these brief snippets, we got the whole idea, okay, Doctor Doom's a badass, right? So now it's time to talk about your specific person. In your imaginal act, the whole point of your 5 to 10 seconds, right, is to get to the point and to show the proof that you've been looking for. So let's give an example, a very popular one. Your specific person is ghosting you. You feel like you hate being the chaser, you want to be the one pursued, okay? Don't just imagine a text message where they say, hey, because they can easily say hey and then they could say goodbye. Right? I want you to go to your end, not the text message. If anything, make the text message where you are just living your life and all of a sudden you are getting your phone blown up. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. When's the next time I can see you? And you're just over there on your throne like, what else is new? Right? You see, what I just described there could be easily imagined in 5 seconds. You know, bzz, bzz, bzz. You see the notifications, you see their little contact photo, okay? And then you feel the feeling of what else is new. That's all 6 seconds, right? But you see, that's powerful because in those 6 seconds, the fact that it wasn't just one message, hey, but it was, I can't stop thinking about you, I miss you, when's the next time I can see you? And they did triple texts, and then you have this feeling of what else is new. That's huge. Just like when Thor, the most powerful Avenger, is throwing the hammer that kicked Thanos' ass and almost killed him if he didn't go for the head. Doctor Doom stops it with 2 fingers. What does that tell us? That tells us everything, that Doctor Doom is more powerful than Thanos, right? That he's if Thor can destroy him and he can stop Thor's hammer with 2 fingers, imagine what he could do with his whole entire power, right? Well, if you're getting 3 texts and you see in your imaginal act that it's all about that they want to see you, and then you see that you have this feeling of what else is new, that means that you are in the state where this is normal. And even your ex texting you that or your SP texting you that is nothing to you, means that you are really in the end state. That's how you create an imaginal act. Don't just, get the text, but make those 5 to 10 seconds special, okay? If you want to get intimate in your imaginal acts, okay, don't focus on, and this also goes for the previous example, right? But don't focus on what shirt is she wearing, what cologne does he have on. Well, that actually could help, the cologne, because smell does help, right? But what I'm saying is, don't start saying, okay, he's wearing Dior Sauvage, but is it on a Thursday? Is the AC on? Are you fucking the AC or are you fucking him? The AC does not matter. Okay, I would say maybe you can sort of have an idea, okay, is it in his room? Is it in my room? Is it in the car? But you don't have to start thinking, okay, does he have the Whataburger in the back seat? Or is there a red car driving in the front parkway while we're fucking? Or again, you're not fucking the red car. Only focus on what matters. Because again, it's 5 to 10 seconds. When we were watching that trailer of Avengers Doomsday, okay, we were not focused on what were the roots of the grass waving this way or that way. No, you're fucking thinking of Thor and Doctor Doom. You're maybe looking at the fucking details on Stormbreaker, on Thor's hammer, and that's it. Okay? If you are being intimate with them, focus on the tactile sensations. What does it feel like to touch her body parts? What does it feel like to kiss his neck, to feel his lips. Focus on that and loop that, okay? And look, shit, you'll know that this shit is working for the intimate scenes if you're getting a little horny, okay? I'm just being 100% real with you guys, okay? And again, you don't have to feel something in the physical realm. You have, what people don't understand is there are the 5 senses in the 3D, and then there's the 5 senses in the 4D. What's interesting is that you feel the senses in the 3D, but you think those are the most powerful. But the ones that are the most powerful are the ones that are more silent, and those are the ones in the 4D, because those are the ones that created the senses out here to begin with. When God said, "Let there be light," sure, the physical element of the light is what we perceive with our eyes. We think that sight of that light is the most powerful, but what was more powerful is the one who created the light. Okay? And you were creating the light in here. He had the idea of the light. The idea of the light was more powerful than the physical element of the light itself. So when you feel what it would feel like to touch her breast, to kiss his neck, to smell his perfume, you don't actually have to smell it out here in the 3D. But just smell it in the 4D enough times to where it creates this feeling of contentment. And to be honest, if you do this correct, the next time you think of that imaginal act that you have, unless you tell on yourself and say, "Oh, that was a great imaginal act, round of applause, I did great." No. If you just treat it like it actually happened, you will see it as a memory. And when you can look at it as a memory, just like when I'm going to tell you right now to think of your first Christmas as a child. You don't actually feel the feeling of the presence out here in your physical hands when you're thinking of it, but you can feel the presence and the wrapping of the paper of that present in your 4D. Right? Well, the same way that you feel those tactile sensations of you opening your first Christmas present is the same way that you can feel the intimacy. Is the same way that when you are getting that text message where they're chasing you. And in the case of like getting chased, that's the easiest example, is when they're blowing up your phone. And by the way, in that one, I don't think you have to focus so much on the tactile sensations. You want to focus on, because in intimacy, you're focusing on a physical act. That really requires tactile sensations because you're getting your sexual desire fed by touch, intercourse, kiss. But when it's being pursued, you're not focusing on touching your phones per se. That's not what is getting you hooked. That is not what's giving you the high. What's giving you the high is that you feel like you are on your throne because you're getting pursued. So if anything, focus on the internal dialogue of your 4D of they're chasing me. What else is new? Of course she's sending me this because she's always chasing me like this. Of course he's texting me that he wants to see me because I always get chased by men like this. Focus on what your brain would be telling yourself rather than, "Oh, am I slouched in my chair? Are my legs reclined on the couch?" Don't focus on the tactile sensations. You can focus on the sensations of your inner dialogue in that scene. Okay? So that is a brief little visualization masterclass. If you guys need help in manifesting your goals, book a call down below. I would love to work with you.